I am pleased to introduce His Excellency Moussa Faki Mahamat, former Chairperson of the African Union Commission and former Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Chad.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this 7th edition of the Global Security Forum and for giving me the opportunity to speak on the issue of the impact of non-state actors, particularly in the Sahel region in Africa. As you know, the Sahel has been one of the hotbeds of violent extremism, cross-border crime, and conflicts of all kinds for over a decade now. Very violent non-state entities, including terrorist groups, criminals, and other militias have developed in this region. A arid region with a predominantly young and impoverished population, weak, poorly administered states, the Sahel presents an ideal breeding ground for the proliferation of this phenomenon. Because of time, I will leave it to the professional and specialists to speak on substance on it. Instead, I will limit my remarks to facts that I have often experienced personally. As you know, I am from this region. Ladies and gentlemen, to discuss the development of this phenomenon in the Sahel and its nature, let me start with an anecdote. In January 2011, my country, Chad, celebrated 55th anniversary of its independence. One of the guests of honor was Colonel Gaddafi, and I was accompanying minister. A grand military parade was organized for the occasion. And upon seeing the tanks, Gaddafi made a remark to late President Idris Deby that Chad did not need tanks, but rather tractors. Deby didn't respond to his guest. But knowing that the destabilization of Chad often stemmed from Libya, which had the largest military arsenal in the continent, you agree with me that this observation was not without paradox and even irony. After the fall of Gaddafi's regime, Libyan military arsenals spilled over into the entire Sahel, leading President Deby to remark that had the Libyan arsenal consisted of tractors, Africa would have achieved food security. In 2014, while attending a meeting on Sahel security in Bamako, Mali, I traveled to Tessalit, in the northern of Mali, where suicide terrorists attacked the Chadian contingent deployed in that area. I witnessed the barbarity and determination of the terrorists and the major risk they pose to this part of the continent. I didn't hesitate to tell my fellow foreign ministers, among them President Bazoum, who was then the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Niger, that if we are not careful, the terrorists will reach our capitals. This is, in fact, what happened. because Bamako, Ouagadougou, Abuja, and N'Djamena had witnessed attacks from terrorist groups. Another situation I experienced was the deadly attacks by Boko Haram in the Lake Chad Basin region, including in N'Djamena, the capital of Chad. The threat we believed to be distant has reached us. Ladies and gentlemen, in the face of the terrorist and criminal threat, the state of the Sahel, among which regional, continental, and international organizations have attempted to provide responses, putting in place, for example, the G5 Sahel, the multi-joint task force, Nouakchott process, Accra initiative, MINISMA, which was a United Nations mission, Operation Barkhane, French one, and European Operation Takuba. But they have not succeeded in curbing the phenomenon, which has spread and now reached coastal countries, Benin, Togo. A dual aggravation phenomenon has emerged. Communautarism. For example, ethnic militias has seen in Burkina Faso and Mali, which are being instrumentalized by both governments and terrorist groups. Military coups and unconstitutional change of government that further weaken states, amplifying insecurity and political instability. So, what can be done? Should be the question. I will leave it to the panel, who will follow, composed of eminent personalities, maybe to address this question. I will simply venture to say that we may need to change maybe our paradigm in defining and addressing the thorny issue of non-state actors, especially considering the presence of foreign private armed groups and the decline of multilateralism that we are currently experiencing, which adds an additional layer of complexity. To conclude, I will say that this exercise of evaluation and reflection needs the contribution of the religious and traditional authorities. It needs also the contribution of international organizations, NGOs, think tanks, academics, but also states, partners. I want to thank Qatar for its implication on conflict resolution in the Sahel and Africa. I witnessed it myself here in Doha 16 years ago. Thank you very much.